What up? What up? Doing a Monday night stream. Just chilling. Nothing special. Just a Monday night where I get to hang out with all you fine people out there and talk about whatever you want to talk about. I'm gonna leave the link. If you want to join me, you go right ahead and join me. We could talk, shoot the shit. I'll probably be streaming for a while. Talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. We could talk about Wonder Woman 1984. We can talk about I guess what else is happening? The Richard Meyer and Mark Waid situation. Whatever. Oh wow, I had just lost two people. Two people were watching. They just stepped away. It's all good. It's all good in the hood. So for those of you who don't know, I was playing the intro by a band named the group is a funk band. The funk band is called Psychic Mirrors. The name of the song was Draw Me Your Favorite Funk. One of my favorite modern funk bands that to have come out in the past 5 years. Underrated, in my opinion. And so I decided just to start it out with that because I thought that they deserve a lot more love than they usually get. So that's if you want to know who the song, it's in the description below. Follow them on YouTube because they do provide very good stuff. They do produce a lot of great music, and like I said, very underrated. And I think that hopefully with this stream, you guys can check them out if you like funk music, because I'm a big funk music myself. I'm a big funk music fan myself, so I enjoy their music, and I hope you guys will also enjoy their music as well. So there's that, guys. I just wanted to talk about that. So it's Monday. It's Monday, the week, a few days before the new year comes in. January 6th is going to be the day where Mike Pence, the vice president of the United States, is going to count the electoral votes. And everyone's nervous. Everyone's on the edge of their seat. Will Donald Trump win this election? Find out on the January 6th. Who knows at this point? I don't care at this point either. Because the executive branch of the U.S. government has gone bloated with power, and who knows what's going to happen after the 6th or during the 6th, because I know something is going to happen that day. Hopefully nothing too dire. Hopefully nothing too crazy. Hopefully it's just something that we can get through, and I think we can. Whoops. Sorry. Started the video again. So how's everyone doing out there? I hope everyone's doing well out there and not freaking out as much as most people are nowadays. Let's take a good look at what's going on in the world of the Indiegogo campaign. Hey, what's up, ID Crisis? How you doing, bud? You want to come on the show? Can you hang out for a bit, or you just get a comment? Go. So there you go. I'm at 1430. Let's see. Let's read. Yep, 1430. 72 backers. I mean, what can you go wrong? 8 days left. The Ghetto Dragon campaign. If you guys have not backed it, I urge you guys to back this book because you won't be disappointed in the story that I will provide you guys. It's a great story. It's one of those situations. It's one of those stories that it's a slow to build, but the ending is well worth the wait, I guess you could say. It's one of those situations because I like stories like that. I like stories that slowly build up to the end of to the climax of the story. That's my forte in terms of what I like to consume in terms of my entertainment. It depends on also the creator as well. So some creators can start off right off the bat and then take you on a wild ride, which is very hard to do, but there's a lot of great artists out there, especially storytellers, who are able to do that. I think the best one for me was I would say probably I would say John McTiernan was like that for me. John McTiernan is the director of Die Hard. He is also the director of Predator, and I thought his action Like he's a underrated action director. I think I don't think enough people give him credit for the kind of action movies he's done over the years. I know Last Action Hero was, I think, one of his last ones that kind of bombed, but I think he's still a fantastic director in my opinion. Like I said, very underrated. What's up, Dave? How you doing, bud?
What's up, man? What, is this on?
Yeah, it's on. I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Cool.
How was your Christmas?
It was okay. Can't complain. It's like I couldn't hear myself because I didn't have the headphones plugged in.
I can hear you.
All
And
right.
you can hear me too, right?
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I don't want these. These are not just. They're not just on my head to make it look like I know what I'm doing.
They serve a purpose.
Yeah,
Practical
I had to
purpose.
like figure out the whole little mixing board thing, and I think I showed up on Jimmy's stream for a couple of minutes the other night, and I always end up echoing somehow, and I'm the only one for whatever reason. I'm like I'm starting to wonder if this isn't my fault because it's always on.
It's the I think it's the headphones. Yeah, once you plug in the headphones, the echo stops because of the I think the laptop or your computer speakers, they bounce off the microphone, and I think that's what starts the echo.
This is always how it is though. But I mean, I don't know. Sometimes I have I have my iPad plugged in, and so I can do my my little sound rack.
Do you know him?
Ah, nice, man. That's a cool little tool you got there. I wish I had that on my end. That would have been fun to have on my end to do that.
It's not an expensive. It's not an. I mean, it's for you can use it on your phone. You can use it on your
That's cool.
But it takes a little bit of time to. I mean, you have to like mess with the audio files and then put them in iTunes and then sync it up. And then after a while, you're like, oh god.
So it's a process, in other words, to get the amount of sounds you want to compile.
Yes, and then how loud is it going to be? Is it going to fade out or not, and all that stuff. But it's all it's. I had a podcast for a while, so I tried that out, but I think I got into like maybe 8 episodes before I was like, this isn't working because it's a visual thing that I'm talking about.
Ah, I see.
You know what I mean? like
yeah.
We'll see if it works, but it's probably not going to work because we're talking instead of looking at it. But yeah, no, it's been a good Christmas. How about yourself?
Yeah, I had a good Christmas. My wife went to visit her dad up in Reno. I couldn't go. She went after Christmas. I couldn't join her because I had to go to work. So so right now she's up there with the baby girl. So I've been here, actually being very productive.
That's good.
Kind of a little glimpse of my old single life, and I got a lot done today because there's no one here. There's no baby needing my attention. There's no wife needing my help with the baby. So that's why I decided to do this last minute stream. Like, I'm just gonna do a stream. Screw it, and just have a good time and just shoot the shit and just have just see who wants to join me and talk. Did you watch Wonder Woman 1984 by chance?
I did. In fact, it's funny. I was reading a tweet, and some girl was on there. She's like, I started watching it and I fell asleep. And then
she tweeted that?
She started watching it and fell asleep. And then when she finished watching it, just wasn't impressed. And I'm like, that's exactly what happened to me. I started watching it and I fell asleep. And then I finished it and I was like, I just don't get it. You know what I mean? It's like there was no, it just doesn't seem like anybody was trying. And then I can't remember who I was listening to earlier. There's so many people out there talking about this stuff. But the one point that was made, and I honestly can't remember if it was Yellow Flash, but it was like, well, there's 2 openings to this movie. There's the opening that reminds, like, because the first opening I'm watching, I'm like, didn't we already go through this? The whole the games and her origin story and all that stuff, and then and then there's the mall of the mall opening, and I'm like, okay, all right, so we're going to that from this, and I'm hoping at some point that these 2 concepts are going to get sewn together, and
they didn't.
Not really, no. I mean, it's like you can't cheat. All right, I can't cheat, but I'm going to spend the entire part of the movie where I'm willing to sacrifice my powers and the human race because I cheated. Did you watched it, right?
Yeah, I watched it.
She got what's his face?
I think here's what I thought the movie was pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. I actually enjoyed it. It was convoluted for sure. But there was a good story within that film.
Yeah.
And what I got from it was, yeah, of course, the cheating part was obviously when she meets the villain, Maxwell Lord,
Yeah.
who who becomes I guess the stone himself, who provides wishes.
Yeah.
And also it's the symbolic story, the subplot, which is her not being able to let go of an old love, and her refusal to, in other words, like we all been through that. At least I hope so. We all been through that, where we want to hold on to someone that is just not working out, but we just want to make it work because there's no one else that we think is better than this individual, right?
Right. No, I know.
So and that's what I liked about the story, when in the movie, which is that whole aspect of, like, because it humanized her. It humanized Wonder Woman to the point where you can empathize with her, you can sympathize with her, you can identify with her, and feel her pain. Like, yeah, that sucks. Having to, you got this one guy who you truly loved back, and yeah, it sucks to have to let it go, but she had to let him go because, or else, how else was she going to move on? But yeah, like what you mentioned earlier about the cheating, right? That first opening,
Right.
and you're right. I was waiting for, okay, it's going to be a payoff, because obviously they put it in the beginning of the movie, so there's got to be a payoff in the end. And I think they try to do it at the end. It just fell flat.
Well, yeah, because there was no build up to it. I liked,
no, you're right. You're right. There was no build up to it.
Right. What you just did there, I am guilty of doing the same thing. And not to say that it's bad, but I can find a couple of things about any movie that somebody else might not like and really be into those couple of ideas. Like, I know a lot of people hated or don't like, or they're finally just now coming around to like David Lynch's version of Dune. And I saw it when I hadn't read the book. And there are some cool concepts in there that aren't in the book. That's one of the reasons why I like the movie. Like, in the book, there's no heart plugs. In the book, there's no weirding device. Now, I don't like that he had to like shove these things and shoehorn them in so that he could make, his movie. If you're gonna do that, then just write another movie. It's like trying to do something with James Bond that you're not supposed to. If you want Bond to be a black woman, then why don't you just go through the rest of the effort to make a black woman character that is a secret agent, call her something else, and actually have the stones to do that? Do your, you know what I mean? Like, do your own thing. So I'm spiraling out. But yeah, I thought the visuals were okay, but I'll do that. I will like find something that's really cool about a movie and just really dig it for those couple of things. But then I'll also do the opposite, where I'm like, I thought that like They Live in 1989 was a terrible attempt at an awesome idea.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's something like that with Wonder Woman, where you've got, like, I loved what they did with Cheetah, and I really liked Kristen Wiig playing the part. I don't think that they went far enough. It wasn't that. It just seemed like I don't know. They were trying to. It seemed like they were trying to connect concepts that didn't have as much to do with each other as they could have if they had started out the movie with. It's like when you blueprint a house. You begin, or any project, you begin with the end in mind. What do we want to have? We want to have this in the end. Well, how do we get there? Okay, well let's set it up in the beginning. Well, they didn't set it up in the beginning. They didn't put any blueprints down. They didn't. You're a writer. What did the outline for that movie look like? And at some point, doesn't somebody go in there and say, this doesn't make any sense?
Right.
Not to get too super philosophical about it, but I think that's one of the big reasons why, the world is going the way that it is because for some reason, nobody wants to hear the word no. And I can't imagine why, but I can say this: all the times that I've ever, all of the best bosses and the adults that I've ever run into from the time I was a kid up until even like, now, you're never too old to learn. The people that had enough respect for me to tell me what they really thought are the people that I have the most fondness for.
Oh yeah.
I mean, the one who grab you by your your lapels and were like, look, not only is this bad for everybody else around you, but it's also bad for you too. Stop it.
Right. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And honesty is the best policy, in my opinion. Because the truth does hurt. The truth is one of the most devastating things you could experience when it's told to you, especially to you when because we put blinders on all the time, right? We always put blinders on our faults, our shortcomings, our insecurities. Right. So when someone outside of ourselves points them out, we always feel attacked. That's why we always get defensive when people do point out certain truths about what we do and whatnot. And that's the reason why I married my wife. I married her because she was the one had no problem telling me, hey, there's a problem here. So I didn't like it, but at the same time, yeah, you're right. It's a better to have that, better to have the bitter taste of the truth than the sweetness of lies, right? So
exactly. I mean, it's like a workout. I mean, that's a real real problem in today's society. The woman that is worth having is the one that you're willing to. That you are willing, make sure I get this right. The one that you are willing to willingly change yourself for, like to be a better person to attain this, because she's supposed to be a prize. You're not supposed to just be some lump of quivering flesh that takes care of all of their problems by drinking them away and running and hiding. And that would have been a better theme for the movie. What you had just said, the truth hurts. Yes, it does. Steve is dead.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't know. I think it's just Jeff Johns, the co-writer of the movie.
Yeah.
It always like it trips me out, the fact that this guy can write some of the best comic books out there, but for whatever reason, he just can't write a movie. He just can't hit the movie at the points that he needs to, hit, so that way the movie can be successful. Because
how many people are involved in writing a movie?
Huh?
Sorry, how many people are involved in writing a movie? If it's just one person, or does it? I mean,
oh no, I think
in the comic book you're like a writer, and then there's an editor, and then there's all that. But I mean, if you're in a movie, aren't you going through like a couple of different, filters? And at some point, isn't the credit almost not? I don't want to say meaningless, but written by committee. Yeah, like Patty Jenkins has writing credits in there.
Yeah, so Patty Jenkins, Jeff Johns, Dave Callahan are the writers of the. So I'm guessing, maybe, you're right. I gotta find out who
cooks,
did what in who wrote at what in terms of like who wrote most of the script and whatnot.
Story. Which one of those people is responsible for redacting good content?
Or changing it, or changing the good content.
Yeah, changing it, or just taking their.
I don't know much about Patty Jenkins in terms of her storytelling, not storytelling ability, her writing ability. I don't know if she's written anything else in the past before Wonder Woman that I guess was good.
Yeah,
but there's a lot of points in the movie where it just fell flat for me. It didn't. Like I could see that they're attempting to do something, and then it just didn't work for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, maybe it's just ego.
Well,
maybe it's just ego working here.
But they're supposed. You know what it was? It was the Comic Artist Pro. That's where I heard it, because I remember hearing this. She's already been greenlit for a third.
Oh yeah, for the third one. Yeah.
Like, wait a minute. I mean, at least wait to see what it does. I mean, the audience is the final arbiter. Why would you just say, go ahead? We have no idea how much this is
I think, well, I know enough about the film business to know that producers and studios and production companies don't care about the critics. They don't care about what people think of it. They only care about how much money they made. If the movie cost X amount, like let's just say for instance it cost $50 million,
yes,
and they got back $100 million, to them that's a success. Doesn't matter if the critics hated it, doesn't matter if the audience didn't like it,
right?
100 million was like, hey, let's do it again.
Yeah,
Let's do it again. So I think
I understand that, but where does the money come from? It doesn't come
I
from it doesn't come from an automaton who just
I
are told
I have a feeling that they probably saw the subscription numbers go up
okay.
because of this movie. That's my guess as to why they think it's a success, because they went, oh, look at
Yeah,
this. We released it and we got, look at the spike. Look at the spike of subscribers, that went up, that shot up when
yeah,
we released the movie on Christmas Day.
yeah, sure. I mean, the numbers tell a story, but those numbers aren't going to stay there forever. You know,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
if any of these people paid attention to any, I don't know. I don't have time to listen to everything, but everything that I have been listening to is they all are maybe it's an echo chamber, maybe not, but it sounds like it's one of those things where, and I used to do this, get HBO because the final season of Game of Thrones is coming on, and my wife
Oh,
really wants to watch it, you know, and then get rid of it. I mean, that's like $15 a month, and I mean,
yeah,
it's not it's not super expensive in the grand scheme of things, but it isn't chump change either. If all of
right.
the subscription services that I have at my disposal all of a sudden went away, I would probably get maybe an extra $50 a month out of something, because anymore, so much of what I watch is on YouTube, and because it's so much more personal. The person who's making
Right.
Wonder Woman or whatever movie, if they're doing it right, they have you and I in mind. And that's one of the things that I think is great about live streaming and watching these things on YouTube, is because that's an idea that the person on the other side of the camera, like yourself, actually understands. So it might not, even in this case, it might not be one of the a great live stream, just for an example, not in this case, but you do get the impression that the person on the other side is actually trying. What you're saying is, in Hollywood, the way the business works is it's all a numbers game, and that's where it
Yeah.
stops.
Yeah.
That basically we're numbers.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
Well, I know.
Exactly. And I think that's the reason, I believe anyway, that's the reason why Hollywood has been going down the shithole, because
Yeah.
they stopped caring about the audience. They stopped caring about, hey, you know what? These are individuals. These are human beings. They enjoy quality work. Like, that's, I mean, you look at other examples, right? Previous examples of films, like, for instance, Back to the Future, right? I mean, Back to the Future is a beloved classic, and every new generation that comes in, they watch the movie. Like my niece, for instance, when she turned 8 and she first watched it, every day when I got home from work, she'd be sitting there watching the movie again and
Yeah.
again and again and again, because she just enjoyed it. And that's what I mean. Like, they don't make movies like that anymore, because they have kind of sucked the artistry dry from the artists who want to make good stories, want to produce good stories anyway.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, that's the story part is where it starts. If you don't have that, then
Yeah.
you've got nothing to build off of. There's no bones, and you know,
You got to have a visual artist too. You got to have a visual good director with the good eye, who understands,
right?
acting, who understands, what do you call it? Gosh, that's the word, when
It's
you
like
when you
pacing.
blocking. When
Right.
you block a certain actor to do a certain move, a certain movement, everything means something with good directors, great directors anyway. Nothing's wasted.
You're actually going to make me look up that Tom King tweet with 4 pages of somebody talking on the television.
Oh, you know what's funny about that? You know what's funny about that, Dave?
What?
When I saw that, I was like, "Shit! I have a page exactly like that in my Ghetto Dragon book."
Oh no, do you?
Yeah. So I was cracking up, and I was like, "Shit, man! I can't really. Should I say something, or should I just?" I was like, "You know what? I'm just not gonna,
Hold on a second.
gonna
Hold on
say
a second.
anything."
If it's actually like this, share the screen real quick.
It's not. It's not two. It's not 2 pages like that. So I'll admit that it's not like that.
Well,
It's
bro,
not like this.
this is 4 pages.
Oh, it's 4 pages.
That's it. This is 4 pages.
Oh, snap. I had no idea it was 4 pages.
And you can pick out, like, it's almost like playing a game of concentration. The upper right, I don't know if my cursor shows up here or not, but The upper left picture is the same on page 188 as it is on the 189. And in a lot of the other ones, it's like the picture will go 4 and 5 are exactly the same. And then in some of them, like those games that you might find in the back of a People magazine, or sometimes you'll see them online. Like if you can figure out the 5 things that are different from this picture to this picture, you're a genius or whatever.
Right, yeah.
The same thing, because you're like, okay, this hand is exactly the same as this hand. The only thing that's different are that the eyes are open and that the mouth is open. But the folds in the scarf and all that other stuff, it's all the same. Like this was this right here was a what do you call it? Two birds and one stone. They were probably running out of time and had too much dialogue. So what do? Well, we're just going to photocopy a bunch of these faces, change the expressions around a little bit so that we can, because the last time we tried to cram this much dialogue, we did it in a 2-page spread and we got waylaid for that too. No, at least do this. Like even a Dennis the Menace comic strip can figure this out. Take one of these panels, make a silhouette, and the word balloon is there, so that at least maybe you can see the person like thinking about what they're doing,
right,
or doing this with their hands or whatever, so that it's not just this. Like I'm more animated when I'm talking on the phone on the hands-free unit in my car when I talk on the phone. This is just, and it's all weird, but it's like bland earth tones. Nothing's changed. There's no shot of it. It's like the background is exactly the same in every one of these things. Here's the thing, and I don't need to share it anymore because I can get that. Okay, so it's that the more you look at it, you don't find anything more to appreciate. You find more stuff to hate. Oh my God, they did this over and over and over again, and then they did this part over and over and over again, and like, it's like the
I had no idea it was 4 pages. Yeah, I thought it was just 2 pages, and I was like, okay, that's not that bad. And everything's got to serve a purpose, right? So I figured, okay, you know what, I have to read the issue so I can find out if that's like a very dire scene that's going to change the character's perspective on something, or gonna a reveal of some kind. I wasn't sure, but 4 pages, I was like, oh crap, that is a little overkill. Yeah,
something
sure.
I would do a breakdown of something like that if I was trying to show like a change in emotion, or maybe the character was maybe it was like a zombie character, and they're over time they're changing and turning it more and more into the undead or whatever it is. The Hulk.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah,
because that's the thing but at least you're watching something happen.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Too, I'm going to say this. I don't know that's a Tom King thing. That's
it is his trope.
Yeah, is it?
Yeah, it's his trope. That's one of his like it's like a staple. You know how Brian Bendis has the bubbles. That's his thing.
Yeah.
Alan Moore has the 9-panel grid with all stuff going. That's his thing, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's Tom King's like trope. That's his thing.
Yeah. Now, well, let me ask you this. Maybe just a personal question as to your craft. If you find yourself falling into a style, or do you consider it to be a habit, and then you want to change that? Because then I see like I can, but then on the other hand, like an artist or somebody or like an author, when they sound consistently not the same, like they're telling the same story over and over, but when you go back to those things, like you can pick out a Shane Davis art, you can pick out David Finch art, you can pick out your favorite artist because they always draw the same. But if it seems like you're falling into a style, do you find that you are saying to yourself, you know what, I don't want to do that. I don't want to typecast myself or pigeonhole myself or find myself in some sort of a creative rut that I'll never be able to get out of?
No, actually, no. I'm actually
like this is how I write, and everybody loves it, so I'm always going to write like this.
Yeah, well, not always. Maybe I'll try to milk it as much as I can, for as long as I can, until I feel like, okay, you know what, I need to do something different. Then I would consider not drastically changing it, but slowly change it, because obviously, you have to keep the readers in mind as well. They're buying your product because, like, for instance, Stephen King, right?
Yeah.
You're buying a Stephen King book. They expect to read his style of storytelling. So if that changes drastically, they're gonna be like, dude, this is not a Stephen King book that I bought. I was expecting.
Like the Dark Tower.
Was that
It's
so?
not.
Was that drastically different?
The Dark Tower is more like a science fiction. I mean, there's Stephen King stuff in there. I read the first one, and
Well, what's the? I mean, since you read more of Stephen King than I do, because I only read like maybe 1 or 2 books of his. But since you've read more, what's his style? What's the thing that gets people readers like hooked?
well,
What's the style that he I guess
as
possesses?
as a horror writer,
Just a writer in general.
I don't know. I can't speak for anybody else. I mean, I do like the way that he fleshes out his characters. He doesn't have favorites. He definitely doesn't have any Mary Sues.
What I mean is like does he write like does he write long-winded sentences? Does he write short sentences? Does he like do long descriptions or short descriptions and more dialogue, that kind of thing?
What it's kind of I don't know. It's one of those things. I don't want to say I can't put a finger on it. There are authors I've read some Dean Koontz, as long as we're talking about mainstream guys.
Okay.
And I like him as well. His ideas are a little bit more off the wall. I don't know that they're more impossible, but Stephen King, except for it was, you could tell he was on drugs when he wrote that. and then well, here's a story about that book. I have it as an audiobook. I can't like read anything now. I don't have the time to sit down and read, or it'll make me fall asleep. But I had listened to it. I had seen the 1990 miniseries, and the movie that was coming out was getting popular. And my daughter is in junior high school, and she's like, her friends are reading the book, and they're all watching Stranger Things. And the one kid from Stranger Things is in the movie, so
right
now his fan base is all involved and stuff. And my wife gets her a copy of it to read, and I'm like, don't do that. And she goes, why? I go, because there's stuff in that book, like I actually had to cut out like a good 4 or 5 pages or however long it is. But there's this group of kids that are stuck in the sewers hunting this monster down, and they realize at some point that the love that they have for each other is a weapon that they can use against it. And there's only one girl in the whole group.
Yeah, I heard about this. Yeah, I heard about that.
So yeah, I had to take my
yeah.
Book, and I'm like, all right, I know it's in here somewhere, and I start reading there, and I'm like, I got a nice chunk. I gave it back to my daughter. I'm like, here, you can read it.
Then, you know what? Okay, I think you hit something there. I read what's the name of that one? I can't remember. It's the one where the character shakes the hand and they can see the future. The Dead Zone.
Yeah,
Dead Zone. So I read the Dead Zone, and I think I know why Stephen King is so popular and why he's a top-selling commercial writer is because he's really good at describing scenes.
Yes, yeah, he is. Yeah. He is very good at that, and a couple, even in the short stories. The first book that I ever read of his was Night Shift, and I think the first story in that was Trucks, which I've never seen a really good version of that done. Maximum Overdrive was the movie for that, and then there's other Trucks that's almost like made for TV that I couldn't finish. Anyways, one of the stories. And these are short stories, so that's where this comes in, because short stories, as he says, that you really have to edit things down. You really have to be you have to be fast and get the ideas in there with not a whole lot of backstory, but he manages to get it in there. One of the stories, Gray Matter, he takes a couple of paragraphs to put a story in a short story, and it totally fits. It totally makes sense. And it gives you that much more appreciation for this thing that these old neighborhood, these old guys that hang out at the deli all the time are they're going to go confront this thing at somebody's house, at somebody's apartment, and they bothered. It's this thing, this story that's told while they're walking on the way. So it's like by the time you're done reading the story within a story, and these people show up at the house, you've been entertained. You get the feeling that the characters have been entertaining themselves with the story while they walk up there, and it's freaking gruesome. And it is this visual that he has of a guy that was working in the public works, jovial guy. He would, had a joke for everybody. And one day he just up and quit his job, and he's in the sewers, and he was working. There was some sort of an obstruction, and when he saw what it was, it's scary. He always does this thing where you scared so bad that your hair turns white. That's one of Stephen King's things. Your hair turns white. But he'd seen this, something that evolution just didn't bother with, and it was this spider that was so large that it had dogs and cats wrapped up in its web.
Oh gosh!
The guy just turned around.
Oh my god!
Exactly.
Oh my god!
That's the story within the story. That was a good one. Night Shift. That collection of short stories had me. And and I hate being one of those people that just gets. There's so many people that read this, or there's so many people that watch this, or there's so many people that listen to this group. I automatically avoid them because I'll never be able to appreciate them on my own. But I picked this up on my own because of the cover art, which was it was the hand with the gauze bandages around it, and underneath, and there was eyes growing from the palm of the hand and the fingers. That's creepy.
That's gnarly. Wow.
Reading that, yeah. So, but that's the Stephen King's. You're always so scared that your hair turns white.
Yeah, no, I remember that. I remember when I read The Dead Zone, I was really impressed by his ability to be able to paint a clear picture with his words, his word usage, and the way he structured his sentences and paragraphs, and not only that, but also developing the characters. He really made you feel like you knew the characters personally.
Yeah,
and that's what when I finished reading Dead Zone, I was like, no wonder this guy is freaking at the top of the mountain, because he's a master craftsman. Like, he actually does understand how to entertain readers with his words, like his long vocabulary, dictionary that he has in his mind. So it's
you're not reading about a character. You're reading about a character that you're getting to know, and you want to continue getting along the way.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Then that's what we're all trying to do.
And that's what's missing in today's bringing it back. That's what's missing in today's films is that aspect of it. Like, letting the viewer know the character so we could empathize with them, sympathize, and identify with them, and get to know, like, feel their pain, their whatever the case may be. Whatever scenario we put a character in. Another good writer that I really liked that had the same gift as Stephen King was Rod Serling. Have you ever read any of Rod Serling's books?
No,
not so much the Twilight Zone, because I know everyone remembers Rod Serling for the Twilight Zone, and he was underrated for Night Gallery. Night Gallery was a great show that I don't think gets enough love, because he's obviously Twilight Zone was the freaking the gold standard of television, but Night Gallery was right there, man. If NBC at the time would have allowed him to the free reign that CBS gave Rod Serling back in the 60s for Twilight Zone, I think Night Gallery would have been right next to Twilight Zone if they just allowed him to just go with it. But Rod Serling's novels are fantastic.
No, I mean, it's not weird that you should say that. I mean, but one of the reasons why they feel like like the Star Wars prequels. Okay, Are you in the school of those were great movies? They were serviceable, or
I watched them again this weekend. Actually, I watched all of them again this weekend because I'm going to do the Talking Cinema show on the 8th. We're going to talk about the Star Wars movies. So I watched them again, and I have to say, man, I remember him not being as terrible. I was like, hey, actually, this is pretty good. Like, it's not the best, but they were like, hey, they were entertaining, but yeah, of course, they fell flat on a lot of the
compared to
acting and the dialogue was really cheesy. But in terms of action and adventure, it was, I would say, spot on.
I'm trying to remember the name of the guy, and it's a half in the bag thing, but the name of the guy is Mr. What is it, Mr. You know any of the half of the bag stuff? The half in the bag movie reviews or anything like that? You ever heard of like Red? No, it's not Red Dead Media. It's not going to come to me because I'm thinking of Mr. Plinkett.
Mr. Plinkett.
Yeah, Mr. Plinkett. I'll find
a critic.
Yeah, Mr. Plinkett is a character that one of the guys from Red Letter Media.
Okay.
The guys from Red Letter Media comes up with. He's basically he's a drunk movie critic.
Nice.
Absolute slob, you know, one of those guys. It could be a serial killer. He has real problems. The Star Wars Awakens review 4 years ago, but there's I'm going to find one, and if you go through all of the Star Wars stuff, Attack of the Clones. I'm just going to throw.
What's his website called? Or if I just type Mr. Plinkett, it'll come up.
Well, yeah, I'm trying to. I don't want it to start playing because then it's going to get.
Oh, Red Letter Media.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to share the one that you should probably start with. I'll just put it in the private chat, and hell, I'll put it in the actual comments in case somebody wants to see it. If Edwin is still there. But anyways, you check that out and you'll understand what I'm talking about. He makes a lot of good points about, you know, if you were to, like, one of the things he does is he'll say, if you can tell me who Han Solo is without describing his job, his ship, but his character, who he is as a person, if you can describe him to me, would you be able to do it?
Oh, nice.
And you know, and they'll say things like, well, you know, he's a scoundrel. He's really good at heart. You know, he's on the run. But he's a good guy. You know, somebody that you want to have blocking for you, but he's like a swashbuckler pirate. You know, and then you say, okay, now do the same thing, but tell me about Princess Amidala. Okay.
Well,
yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, and it's
nice, sweet.
Right. Now in contrast, I can do the same thing with another Natalie Portman character in a movie that she was in that is one of my favorites, called Beautiful Girls. She plays I want to say like 13 or 14-year-old next door neighbor who is one of those girls who was older than her years. You know what I mean? Where when you talk to this person, she has style, she has her own sense of self, and you're almost jealous because even though you are too old to have a really good relationship with this person, you feel like it's going to be wasted on somebody else. You know what I mean? It's like when somebody says, oh, she's going to be one of the good ones someday. Like she's going to be like a good buddy, you know, to talk to or something like that. Nothing like... I mean, this movie is a couple of years old, so it's... One second, I want to try something. I might be getting static off this heater. Anyways, but it's the same thing. You can describe that character, the same actress, playing two different characters, and one of them actually has substance, and they're like a teenager. And Princess Amidala is this, you know, and they're all like that. Obi-Wan Kenobi has more character in the first Star Wars movie than he does in the first prequel. But I don't know. I'm going off on it's another off ramp.
No, it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, no, yeah. Going back to you're right. George Lucas does.
Okay, yeah.
The
main thing about that was with the prequels, the studio and everybody working around him saw him as this thing on a pedestal.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say I don't think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
This is the first draft. We should probably flesh this stuff out a bit here. And even in episode 4, he had a a studio to contend with and
Yeah.
producers to contend with. And there were scenes that he wanted to put in there that they wouldn't let him. Which brings me to another movie for a different reason that makes the point. Well, even though it's very tropey, because all of those movies about bands and Ray and Johnny Cash and all those movies, they all follow the same. I'm nothing. I make a song. I make a lot of money. I become a shithead. I fall flat on my face, and then there's some resolution at the end or whatever. But Bohemian Rhapsody, I really liked, even though it kind of did the same thing. But there's the scene in there where Freddie Mercury goes off on his own. He makes his own record, and it sucks. And one of the reasons why, when he comes back to talk to the band about it, he goes, "Nobody fought with me." And because nobody fought with them, there was no tension in the music.
Right.
Nobody was playing or fighting for their end of things.
Right. Yeah, and a lot of times you do need that in order to get something done. Yeah, for sure. I watched the holiday movies that made us on Netflix,
Yeah,
and I watched the Nightmare Before Christmas episode, and it talked about that very thing about how the director of the film, which wasn't Tim Burton, um, bumped heads with the art director of the film
yeah,
throughout the process, but it ended up being, of course, it's now one of the most revered Christmas movies of all time. Because of the notion, like you said, the tension that was there to want to outdo one another. And I'll show you. I'll show you that. I got some talent on my on my end too.
yeah.
Motherfucker.
It doesn't
So
have to be
I'll prove to you that I'm good, that I belong here. That kind of thing.
right. And it doesn't even have to be that kind of like angry, people going after each other. But even
Right.
like at least
It,
like
it's a healthy competition.
Yeah, right.
A healthy competition. Like you respect each other, but you're good at what you do. Personally, with your own thing, and then of course
Yeah,
you gotta not compromise, but you gotta just respect each other's approaches to certain things because you know what you're doing in your own little department.
right.
So yeah, so it's
Great
yeah,
kind of
you're absolutely right. That's what I got when I watched the prequels again. I got the whole notion of like, you know what, they didn't say no to poor George Lucas
yeah.
when he was like, "What do you guys think about this?" Oh, fantastic! Yes, George. Yes, fantastic. 100%. Like, let's do it. Let's go for it.
I would
I think that hurt him.
I would love to hear what he. It's gone now. Something was going on with my headphones before I could figure out.
Oh, my bad, man. No, it was my fan on my laptop.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, my bad. I turn it on from time to time because I feel kind of like heating up.
To like mess with my soundboard.
No, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. I wasn't sure if you were talking about. It was my fan.
I don't want to interrupt you, okay, but something bad is happening. It's all about Dave and Dave's headphones. Yes. Now, I would love to hear what the conversation was like going the other way when somebody from the special effects department brings them a design for a pod racer. Then does George Lucas go, "No, I don't know about that. You maybe want to go back." You're like, "We don't say no to you about anything."
Yeah.
Making us go back to the drawing board for what is essentially a land speeder with a chain tied to the seat.
Yeah.
It was like this. I didn't understand that. I also didn't understand the sound effect where it sounds like the engine is shutting down as it passes by.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, you're right.
I can understand like a
You're
train,
right. Well, isn't it supposed to be like
changes.
I know in racing anyway, when you turn a sharp turn, don't you like go down to a lower gear in order for you to do that sharp turn so you won't skid? Maybe that's what that was. I mean, I don't know much about the race cars, but you there, Dave? I think you froze. I don't know if you can hear me or not. Dave? I think I lost Dave. I think I lost him. Well, Dave, I'm gonna have to wrap it up anyway. So I'm gonna give you a minute or two and see if you come back within a minute or two, and if not, then I'm gonna wrap it up. So I'll wait a minute or two for you to come back. And but yeah, I'm gonna have to wrap it up in a minute. So I'll wait. But yeah, like I was saying, I don't know much about street racing or NASCAR or whatever, like, or whatever the what that is. But oh, power went out. Whoa. That sucks, man. That sucks. Power went out. Man, I hate when that happens. It goes off for like a minute or no, like a second, and then everything turns back on. Okay. Well, then I'm gonna just wrap it up, then, buddy. The next time I do a live stream, I'll invite you back on. We'll continue on talking about it. It was a fun stream, but I wanted to keep it within an hour, so I guess it kind of worked out. So, thanks for coming on the show, buddy. I appreciate it. Email me when you read my treatment for our project or your story, and let me know what you think. So, with that said, everyone out there, that's crazy. Less than a sec. I hate that. I hate when that happens. But yeah, with that said, I'm gonna bow out. I'm gonna join another stream that I was invited to, so I'm gonna end this now. So for those of you who watch after the fact, check out the Stephen King novels that we talked about. Check out some of the movies that we referenced. And Dave, when I do another live stream, I'll make sure to invite you on, and maybe for our talking cinema show, I'll probably invite you on as well. But we'll see. I have to talk to the co-host of that show. So yeah, dude. If you start one and I'm available, I'll join in. But it all depends. So with that said, guys, peace and take care of each other. Stay safe out there. Good night.